Hi friends. So when I lay out the timelines that I give you with regard to starting points, ending points, counts, all of that, I am dogmatic about this. There's no wiggle room. I have researched this out to the point where I'm telling you what I believe based on scripture, and that is not going to change. I'm not guessing about what I'm saying, and for good reason I'm not guessing. Doesn't mean I'm right, but it means I'm not going to change what I'm saying. So I got a message here in response to a video that I did, why 445 BC for the start of Daniel's 70 weeks, and so I'm going to go through the points here. And I'm not criticizing this. There is no question here, so these are the kind of things where I'm not sure where to go with this or what to do with this other than to talk about it, because there's no question here. This is just a person sharing their beliefs with me, which are not the same as mine, and like I said, I am dogmatic about mine, so I'm just really not sure where to go with this. So I'm going to bring it to you guys and tell you why this is not something I would support. I think the start year would be better taken from Ezra 7:11 in the 7th year of Artaxerxes. So let's take a look at that. What does Ezra 7 say? There went up some of the children of Israel and of the priests and of the Levites and the singers and the porters. Oh, that's 7:7. 7:11. Now this is the copy of the letter that the king Artaxerxes gave unto Ezra the priest, the scribe, even a scribe of the word of the commandments of the Lord and of his statutes. So this is a finding of the law, a reading of the law from Ezra. He says in verse 13, I make a decree that all they of the people of Israel and of his priests, his Levites in my realm, which are minded of their free will, go up to Jerusalem, go with thee. But this doesn't say anything specifically about the restoring and the building of Jerusalem. Let's be very, very clear that in Daniel 9, the commencement of the 70 weeks is, know therefore and understand that from the going forth of the commandment to restore and to build Jerusalem. It has nothing to do with finding and reading the law and people returning to Jerusalem. It has to do with a commandment to restore and to build Jerusalem. Nehemiah 2, contrary to Ezra 7, actually states to build the city. There is nothing about restoring and building the city in Ezra 7. In Nehemiah 2, it says, right here, and I said to the king, if it please the king and thy servant have found favor in thy sight, that thou wouldest send me unto Judah, unto the city of my father's sepulchres, that I may build it, to restore and to build Jerusalem. That's what this says. So people can argue with me, or they can have a different opinion all they want, but that is literally what the plain text of scripture says, is that Nehemiah 2, he's asking to restore and to build Jerusalem, to go to the city of his father's sepulchres, which is Jerusalem, the old city where the forefathers lay, that I may build it, to restore and to build Jerusalem. Like, that's word for word what it says. So I appreciate that there's a want to go to a different verse here. No, that would not be accurate. If you want to be accurate, that's not the place to go. Nehemiah 2 is. The 7th year of Artaxerxes the reign, 458 BC. In Ezra 8, in 457 BC, the families are returning to Jerusalem. Okay, but it says nothing about restoring and building Jerusalem. Returning there, fine. It says nothing of restoring and building. It says in 457 BC is a year of jubilee. No, it's not. This is the establishment of the Jubilees, when Israel came up out of the Jordan on the 10th day of the first month and camped in Gilgal on the east border of Jericho, 419. Nisan 10 of approximately 1406 BC. These are the Sabbath cycles, the periods of 7. You number 7 sevens, and then the 50th year declared Jubilee. So all the yellow is Jubilee years. He's saying that 457 is a year of Jubilee. It is not. 475 is, and 426 is. Nothing of 457. So that is inaccurate. So we have this being inaccurate because it says nothing of restoring and building Jerusalem. And we have this inaccurate because that is not a Jubilee year. And when you plot it out on the timeline, you can plainly see it's not. It's not even the beginning of any period of 7. That's the starting point of the 69 times 7, which gets us 483 years. We land in 26 AD, but we know there isn't a year 0, so 27 AD. Okay, but weeks of years begin and end in the month Nisan. So, it says Daniel is written in weeks, yes, and God meant just that, yes. In the 70 weeks, there are 10 jubilees. I don't know if that's a true statement or not, because I haven't looked it up, but I would neither confirm nor deny because I haven't looked it up. Christ is born in 4 BC. No, he wasn't. Let's take a look why. This chart I have called Biblical Events Overlaying World History, where at the right side here is the going forth of the commandment to restore and to build Jerusalem in the 20th year of the reign of Artaxerxes, 445 BC, unto the Messiah the Prince, 32 AD. Over here on the left side, I have the life of Jesus Christ with respective to several different data points, one of which was the year in which John the Baptist began his ministry, which is pinpointed in Luke 3 to the 15th year of the reign of Tiberius. Tiberius began his reign in 14 AD. The 15th year is 28 AD. If and since John the Baptist began his ministry 6 months prior to Jesus in 28 AD, assumedly the month Nisan, because it was 6 months before Jesus began his in Tishri, you can't be in any year other than 28 AD. So right here, he says Christ is born in 4 BC, and at 27 AD, he's 30 years old. Okay, but he wasn't born in 4 BC, and he didn't start his ministry in 27 AD either. Here, verifiably in the historical record, for those who try to twist and contort the Bible to say something other than it does, they will die on the hill that Herod died in 1 BC. That is inaccurate. The historical record everywhere, with people from people with no agenda, will tell you that Herod died in Nisan of 4 BC. If and since Jesus was born in Tishri, it means he could not have been born in 4 BC because that would have put him born 6 months after Herod died. Clearly, Jesus was born before Herod died because Herod tried to have all the male babies killed 2 years and of age and younger, including Jesus. Jesus would have been born approximately Tishri of 6 BC to put him at about 18 months of age when Herod died, which would fit the 2 years and under. So, no, Jesus was not born in 4 BC because Herod died in Nisan of 4 BC and Jesus was born in Tishri. Jesus had to have been born. We know that he was born before Herod died, therefore making him have to have been born in at least 5 BC, Tishri of 5 BC. But because Herod had the babies killed 2 years of age and younger, Jesus was assumedly born in Tishri of 6 BC, again making him approximately 18 months old when Herod died. Back to Israel, about 30 years of age comes into play when Jesus fulfills the prophecy in Matthew 2:23 that he shall be called a Nazarene when they settled back in Nazareth. It was in the Old Testament as the Nazarene that Jesus was prophesied to do things. Behold, the man whose name is the branch. The branch is Nazareth. That is, in Hebrew, it translates to the Nazarene in Greek. So Jesus had to assume the role of the Nazarene, had to become the Nazarene, and that was after they came back, after Herod died, after they took the long way, and after they settled back in Nazareth for Jesus to grow up, down here. From there, it was approximately 30 years till Jesus assumed the ministry. Behold, the man whose name is the branch, the Nazarene. He shall grow up out of his place, Nazareth. He shall build the temple of the Lord. He shall bear the glory. He shall sit and rule upon his throne and be priest upon his throne, and the council of peace shall be between them both. That was the prophecy that Jesus, as the Nazarene, as the branch, would build the spiritual temple. That's from Zechariah 6:12 and 13. So Jesus enters the priesthood at approximately 30 years from assuming the title of the branch, because it was as the branch he was prophesied to do these things. That was after 4 BC. That was after they settled back in Nazareth, after they fled to Egypt. And again, Jesus would have begun his ministry on Tishri 10 of 28 AD, respective to the reign of Tiberius, and respective to the data points were given respective to John the Baptist. So let's go back to this. Numbers 4, yes. Luke 3, yes. About 30 years of age from assuming the title of the branch. Jesus was not crucified in 31 AD because unto the Messiah the Prince is 32 AD, which is 3.5 years after Jesus began his ministry on Tishri 1028 AD. He ended it on Nisan 1032 AD, Palm Sunday triumphal entry, and died 4 days later. The 70th week and the week of Christ's ministry is ended in 34 AD. Which he's saying 34 AD is a year of Jubilee. Is it? No. The Jubilee years are 16 AD and 65 AD. 34 BC is a Jubilee year. This is the transition from BC to AD. 34 BC to 16 AD. So no, 34 AD was not a Jubilee year. 16 AD and 65 AD are Jubilee years. I think Christ was born during the fall, Holy Feast, Tabernacles, yes, absolutely. His death was on Passover, yes. In the spring of 31 AD, 3.5 years after he started his ministry. The problem is that he is placing a gap between this 27 AD spring, because again, weeks of years run spring to spring. So he's saying that the first 69 weeks of years ended in, assumedly, Nisan 10 of 27 AD, but Jesus didn't start his ministry until fall of 27 AD, so you could not say that the first 69 weeks of years ended with unto the Messiah the Prince when you have a gap of 6 months between when Jesus began his ministry and when that first period of 69 weeks ended. It is not unto the Messiah the Prince. This timeline doesn't work with the right times of year. Jesus began his ministry in the fall, ended it in the spring. Weeks of years begin and end in the spring. So the unto the Messiah the Prince is going to be with the date that correlates to the spring, which is the end of Jesus' ministry, specifically on Nisan 10 Palm Sunday with a triumphal entry. I understand that there are a wealth of different viewpoints about this, but as I stated, I am dogmatic for a reason. Every single thing that I have told you guys is verifiable in multiple ways in Scripture. And I'm not going to change that. That would be entirely, I don't want to say rude, but that would be like deceiving and misleading to the nth degree if I just up and changed my mind because, oh, hey, I guess I didn't really put stock in what I'm saying. Except I do put stock in what I'm saying, and I am dogmatic about it because these things happen one time. There's only one right answer. So the bottom line is to get to that answer. And if there are any gaps in what this is, it's not right. I don't know where some of this information came from, and I'm going to guess that a lot of people have the same thought because this 457 BC seems to be a prevailing year that people throw out there, which is part of the reason I did the video why 445 BC is correct. It's not 475 or 457 or all these other things. Because you can see that what this person is stating about these specific years and these counts is all wrong. All wrong. So, if people want to message me independently, I give the link underneath each of my videos, and that's fine. There is no question in here. There's just a, I believe this for these reasons. Well, you can continue to believe whatever you'd like for whatever reasons you want, but I just showed you how all of your reasoning is fallacious. It's wrong. Like, if you're going to believe something, at least believe it on the merits of the argument, and if someone can destroy the merits of the argument, then probably find something new to believe in. So people can believe whatever they want. I don't personally have a stake in what other people choose to believe in. But if you're going to send me a message, ask a question, or do something that I can respond to, because this is just a I believe this, this, and this, but I've already spent a great deal of time telling you why that's not right and showing you why that's not right with all of the biblical reference material from Law, Psalms, and Prophets, probably not Psalms, but Law and Prophets, and everything that I've got works seamlessly. There are no gaps. If there were gaps, it wouldn't be right. Because if any part of it is wrong, all of it's wrong. So this is the year, Nisan 10 of 445 BC, and maybe other people have different arguments about that 457 year, but even so, it doesn't take you to the right time of year for Christ's ministry. Jesus began his ministry within the confines of the first 69 weeks of years. He ended it at the conclusion of the first 69 weeks of years. Nisan 10 to Nisan 10. That is all.